Hello, people. What's going on? So, the resolution of the camera is a higher, so some of you folks buffer when it first comes on. That's not over here. It's running fine. Cheers and hello. It's Thursday, the 28th of September. The month is almost over. The coffee is good today. I want to champion for just a second Guy Seger's new album, Eclectic Maybe Bands, Bars Without Measures. I keep thinking about Stephen Wilson's recent, I'm quoting him, he's right on target. We can hardly, as artists or anything, keep people's attention when something new happens or when we do something. It's hard to get people's attention, much less keep it for shit. Even like he said, 40, you're lucky if you remember or remembered 48 hours after you post something new. So the new Eclectic Maybe Band, there's so much music out there that this will easily get lost in the shuffle, or some people will never even hear it. And that's a shame because I'm digging this. Let me just play the way this second track starts. I really like, let me turn it up a little bit. Don't know about the fidelity of the microphone on this new camera. I liked the fidelity on the old camera, but this starts off like with a bang. Okay, that's enough. That was 23 seconds. It wasn't quite 30 seconds, you know. But, I mean, you heard it right there. And it's fresh, you know, it's funky, but there's all this stuff going on already. The players are playing, the music is flowing. And so you get to choose what to focus on really as while you groove. Nice work. And I haven't gotten all the way through the entire album yet, Guy. But this is fantastic. It's excellent. I love that you offered me a chance to work. You guys are a little bit out of my caliber, I'm going to be honest with you. If I were able to sit with you or be with you in person, I'll be real honest, where you could help bring me up to snuff on how you're operating. I could get it. I could participate in this. I could add to this. But those are stellar players, and I'm not fooling myself. You know, those are some amazing players. I can make some good music, but these people are. That's why I'm happy to call some of them my friends, like you, Guy. Cheers. I feel like doing a poll, but I want to share some news. I enjoy that aspect of this, that it's a kind of a dear diary, and that things are kind of like documented. So I was approached by the label Dark Entries yesterday about wanting a old song of mine. They wanted, well, I agreed. This is my third licensing deal. So they contacted me. They're doing a vinyl release for Pride Month next year. And the fellow who used to work for Baker's Banquet, I checked him out. It's all legit. The label is interesting. Um, an old song of mine from the 80s, he wants to include it in this Pride comp. Something about, well, it kind of sounds like an old, it's back in the early 80s when I was still, formulating Digital Sex, and the song has a bit of a Joy Division feel to it. and he liked it. So I agreed. This is my third licensing deal, so I've learned about it, and was able to say for this one what I wanted, as opposed to like the first one was with Numero Group, and let me show that to you, because this is a release of mine I don't talk about much, but it's because I'm not in charge of it, and sales of this, I don't sell it. It's Planisphere. Numero Group is a label that has been around for years now. They made their name with putting out these comps of stuff, you know. Numero Group, you know the name now. They came through town years ago when Hi-Fi House was still open, and I made their acquaintance, and got to talking, and sure enough, they expressed interest in an old song of mine. We did a licensing deal for this. It's an old song of mine off of Dereck number 2. It's really probably the best song on here. And what this is a picture disc, but literally a planisphere. It's a star chart for the night sky, and what you can the record can be used along with this chart here to observe the night sky. Now, my old track Dream Music is on here, which is a fitting track for it. But I had no say over how they were going to use the song that they chose. And I took an advance for this, which I will not do again. So, because I'm not in charge of this at all, it's barely selling, and so I still owe. Technically, they're saying you don't owe because, you know, if, you know, they can ultimately write it off. But in my mind, this is what has ruined many, many musicians and artists over the decades, accepting advances against sales and then ending up owing an arm and a leg or going bankrupt or something like that. Anyway, the Dark Entries is completely favorable, where, you know, I told you a couple of years ago, thankfully with the help of my nephew Karim, I LLC'd myself. So I'm my own publisher, and I retro published everything that I could. There's my digital sex stuff was through the publisher Bug Music, that also famously published early Iggy Pop. I'm actually trying to. I'm still waiting. I've applied for my publishing of those songs, you know, the music. Anyway, I'm pleased, you know, that this has happened, and I'm just sharing that it's cool, you know, that the music has a life of its own. That was the main thing I wanted to share about that. It seemed like there was something else about it. So tomorrow is new release day. Am I looking forward to the new Steven Wilson Harmony Codex? I am. I like the way the man operates, and I've listened to, you know, he's released, 4 singles, videos off the album. I like it. So I've been thinking about getting up here in my ease, where I have a selection of kind of kitschy electronic albums. I think it's been a while, so let me see what's up here. Once again, it feels like I'm forgetting something, but that's all right. So let me start here, because I know there's some electric here, and let me go over this far. Oh, there's even more. Let me go till I don't see an electric album. Okay, that's Eloy. So we'll go up to there. We'll go up to that. Yeah, okay. Let's see what this stuff is, folks. Let's see what this is. Might be a whole lot of junk. I'm just kidding, actually. But as I've said many times, I love electronics, electronic music. I do not like, and frankly, when raving and techno became kind of faceless, a lot of that really loud techno music, I think, is really very tasteless. And it is true that anyone can make that stuff because there's programs where all you got to do is just choose this loop, choose that loop, and there you go. So that's not what I'm talking about when it comes to electronic music. And back when it was new and people were making the Exploito albums, I like to get those when I can find them. So where are we at? So this is the E section, and so this is not part of that. It's the Electric Flag. Groundbreaking American band. They deserve recognition that they don't get. That's my dude, Buddy Miles from Omaha. Can call him a friend. He's gone, but we were family members. Our families were friends. I used to play at his house when I was a kid. He instantly recognized me whenever he saw me. The last time I had a chance to play with him, it was at a bar. The bar was getting lit. I don't drink. I don't like drunks, so I left before I had a chance to play with Buddy. That's the first thing there. Next thing that comes up is Electric Guitars. This is a band that I saw open for Peter Gabriel. The second time I saw him, yeah, the tour that for the Peter Gabriel Plays Live, they opened for him, and I really enjoyed it. They were doing, at the time, it was this percussive thing, like Pig Bag and Rip Rig and Panic, and on a more commercial level, the Thompson Twins. That's what they were doing. Live, they were really fun and enjoyable. And I keep these records because they sound a bit dated, but it's still good and unique. I actually have 3 singles by them. This is their first one. And that's what they look like. See, remember that look? Makes me think of the Bell Stars too, and bands like that. And then this one, Wolfman Tap. This is very cool, actually. It's been a while since I played these, but whenever I play them, it's like it's good, spirited, and like I said, it's kind of percussive. Okay, so here's some of these Exploitos. Electric Hair. Switched on hits from America's first tribal love rock musical. Gotta love those goofy graphics. And it's realizations by Robert Byrne. I can't say I know anything about him. There's that. Here's one. This is not an Exploito, but it's got the word electric in the title, so it's in the E's. The Electric Junkyard. I remember this back in the day when I would see this all the time in the cutouts, and I wouldn't buy it because it's like I could tell that, okay, this is, and I was right. I keep this. I ought to play it today, because this is very Exploito. 1969 was the year. I mean, psychedelia and the Summer of Love was history by this time. It's just, the industry always trying to milk everything for money. So my memory of this album is that it's just very tasteless. It's studio musicians who were given charts, and it's not very, to my memory, it's not very good, but don't quote me. Okay, so this is in the Electric Light Orchestra. The light shines on. I liked them when they first came out. Very good friend of mine was bonkers about ELO when they first came out. I didn't go to the show, I regret. when they came with the spaceship. I didn't have the money. But my friend was so bonkers about this band that he played their first couple albums a lot when we partied. So I appreciate Jeff Lynne and what they were up to. And the first album with Roy Wood, this stuff is good. This is a compilation, I think. So there's that. Okay, so Electric Pong Orchestra, Tales of the Electric Pong. This is more of a jazz funk album. Maybe not so funky, slightly jazzy. See, this is stuff, I don't even have to go to the record store. I've just found 2 records to listen to today because I can't remember what they sound like. Okay, so we're in the electric area. Electric Prunes. This is a classic of radio. I used to love hearing this on the radio. I had too much to dream last night. Those guitars sounding like buzzing bees and spiders. This is an original mono, and look at it, it's in good shape. This is an example of a band whose management blew it for them. Well, maybe it was a combination of the management and the band. They were on Ed Sullivan and all those shows, and it was like, it could have been like one of the biggest bands, and management made them do things against their will, like dressing them in certain clothes and stuff, and that stuff, it's unfortunate. Underground by the Electric Prunes. This stuff stands up over the test of time. That's why I got it. The Mass in F minor. Once again, these guys were on the cutting edge doing shit like this. You don't hear, we always hear about what the Beatles did that was cutting edge and that sort of stuff. And this stuff gets lost in the shuffle, but very important. That reminds me, yes. So I love watching documentaries. The latest documentary I watched was about Alberts, the Alberts publishing company down in Australia that helped to shape the modern sound of Australian rock. Vanda and Young, they were in the Easy Beats. The older brother, Harry Young, I think is his name, whatever his name is, the older brother of the Young brothers in AC/DC. That was a real good documentary. I'll try to remember to leave the link. That was real good. There was something about it that I wanted to bring up. Oh, yeah. They point out in the documentary how the Easy Beats were the first rock band to use feedback, not the Beatles. On I Feel Fine, everyone says that's the first recorded instance of a band using feedback. Easy Beats beat them. I thought that was cool to find out. And I do have some of their singles, thanks to an Australian watcher who I wonder if he's even still alive anymore. That was years ago. To continue in the pile that I grabbed, and I will list these. Electric Sun, Earthquake, that guitarist, Uli Roth, right? Yep. On Brain. I love the label Brain. This is a little more hard rock than what I listen to for the most part, but this is a keeper. There are other hard rock albums I used to have, like Curly Curve on Brain, that I don't have anymore. That had an amazing cover. Wish I still had it, I sure do. Well, shit, this is just an interesting period. Electronic Art Ensemble, Inquietude. This is this on Gramavision? Yeah. And there are no big names on here, but this is unique. This is good. I remember this. This is good. Okay, here's some of what I was talking about. More of what I was talking about, like that Hair album. No, not like the Hair album. Electronic music selections. This is more on the academic side. Electronic music, John Cage, Luciano Berio, and Ilan Mimaroglu. on one turnaround. Seemed like that was a kind of a cheap label for classical music. So here's one. Can't describe. I can't. If something comes in my head that I can describe you, I will. But mostly, switched on rock. The Moog machine. Let me see if I can see. No, I don't know that name. The big twiddler and producer is a fellow named Norman Dolph. And it's big hits of the day, as you see, the Beatles, Time of the Season, The Weight, Jumping. These records are fun. Yeah, so it's a mix. Whenever I find these old electronic music records from universities, I grab them. The Jaron Hiller is a name on here that I recognize from his work. University of Illinois. The Happy Moog, starring the Moog synthesizer, the electronic super wonder of the world. See, this is back, and this is that budget label, Pickwick, that Capitol Records was part of. Pickwick was their budget label. This doesn't say. Oh, the direction is by Harry Brewer. That's a name that rings a bell. Love those covers. Here's one that I've seen in other people's collections: the Columbia-Princeton Electronic Music Center album. Let's just keep going. And this one is classic. Steve Reich, Richard Maxfield, Pauline Oliveros. This is my second copy. I bought this when it came out. I had to replace it. This is a classic of that era. New electronic music from leaders of the avant-garde: John Cage, Henri Pousseur, and Milton Babbitt. You know, Columbia Records, you know, major label. They had their big toe in everything. And so this is what they would say: music of our time. As you can see that right there. Columbia, music of our time. Columbia Masterworks. This one is cool. It's the Electronic Spirit of Erik Satie, featuring the Moog synthesizer with the Camarata Contemporary Chamber Orchestra. Immediately I think of Bill Camarata. He's also in the vinyl community and makes records. If you see this, Bill, hey, this is cool. And it's also cool that it's on the Dereck label. How about that? Another one of those labels like Harvest that I just love to collect when I can. Man, I got more of these than I realized. I remember electronics. George Balanchine. I think I know what I'm going to do this morning after I go to the post office. Electronic Music Volume 4. I love this stuff. Another one on the Turnaround label. And this is the one that Radiohead famously sampled from on Kid A. Electronic Music Winners. Paul Lansky is named that, and Menachem Zur. Those are names that I remember. I've had this quite a while. A few more. Moog Espana. Oh, man. Man, this is fun. It's like shit. It's like going to the record store, because like these are my records, but I kind of barely remember that. Okay, well, I have some fun stuff to do today. I'm going to put that in a better sleeve. Here's another one. Moog Groove, baby. They got the sweet honey on the front, and they're calling this the first album of electronic rock, the Electronic Concept Orchestra, playing everything from Aquarius to Hey Jude. I mean, talk about cheap exploitation tactics. Please. And then this is so that's the end of it. I have more, but due to knowing the artist, they're filed by the artist's name, like Hugh Montenegro comes up right away. I know I've gotten more Exploito Moog albums. So the next thing that's on in the E's is the band Electrophon. Further thoughts on the classics by Electrophon. This can be a little cheesy, but it's still very good. And this, again, keep in mind the time, 1975. This one is better, and to me the best thing about this is the cover. This is one of my favorite album covers, Zygoat by Electrophon. That's just really cool. It's just a wonderful cover, and this is listenable. This is pretty cool. Last thing, some electronic club music. Dave Ellesmere, Angry Young Computer. This is an example of electronic music that can be used for dance that is not faceless. It's good. It's good stuff. Okay, so that's what I got to show. Give me a minute to get it online and post the titles. I'm headed to the post office. People, take care, okay?